Story 1. Raid a jewelry store, cover myself in diamonds, then kill myself in the penthouse of a five-star hotel. If I am going to die, I might as well let alien archaeologists mistake me for a king. Story 2. First, I would find a group of friendly animals that lost their owners when everyone else disappeared, so I could enjoy their company since I would be alone. Story 3. See how long I could last and not be horribly depressed or go insane. I try to find some sort of medication to end my life quickly so that if I get badly hurt, I've got a way to end my suffering. I'd expect lots of stuff to stop working, so I'd make my way to someplace with moderate weather and get into a well-insulated building with a working fireplace. It's harder to keep things cool than hot, so if I was in the United States, I want to be above the Mason-Dixon line. Food should not be a problem for a long time, and bathroom issues wouldn't be a problem for a long while. Showers might get tough, but bathing in general wouldn't be too bad. Definitely need to get access to a firearm, as wildlife would definitely start to encroach quickly. Less than a decade for sure. Books and single-player board games or electronic devices that run on batteries would be decent. I'm not sure if generators or solar would be able to solve electrical needs. I have the time to work on it though. If I did solve the electricity problem, it would help in a bunch of ways. Gasoline would start to go bad pretty quickly. Not sure how long propane stays good. If I could get consistent electricity, I could charge electric cars and vastly expand my range. I'd definitely get a dog or 4. Again, food is not going to be an issue, so company-wise, it's hard to do better than a dog. Hopefully, I could find a few dogs because lots of them are going to die or go wild fairly quickly, so puppies would be the only reliable way to keep my company from dying off. That's about it. I know I could last a year barring injuries. If I could make it 5 years, I like my chances of going indefinitely. The more likely scenario is that an injury or depression would end things in time. Story 4. I guess everything. First thing I would do is find the fastest car I can and take it to the racetrack and have some fun. Gasoline goes bad, and cars won't last long without maintenance, so I may as well do so while I can. After that, I would just explore. Go find some amazing nature, places I've never been. Watch the world begin to heal without us. Animals could provide companionship. A dog would make a nice friend as well as being useful. I would also try to find some way to chronicle the last days of humanity, my life, what I know, my personal thoughts on the universe and such, and then preserve it. Maybe find one of those seed vaults to put it in for any potential future intelligent species to discover and translate. Story 5. Be like Will Smith in I Am Legend, but without any zombies to worry about. So walk around town with my dog and rifle, rent movies, and I guess spend a lot of time alone. Story 6. A lot of people in here are optimistic about being able to travel long distances and have electricity and internet. I imagine all infrastructure would fall apart fast, but at least you wouldn't have to fight over resources. However, that would also depend on whether the rest of the world disappeared suddenly or if it was a long decline into everyone dying and resources being long gone at that point. Story 7. They made a show about this called The Last Man on Earth. It had a super interesting premise and a lot of potential to show off Will Forte's acting, which they almost immediately destroyed by having him not actually be the last man on Earth. Story 8. First, I would try to release as many pets as possible. Then collect a bunch of anime, manga, and video games. Watch and play them until the power goes out. After that, start reading. Story 9. If I were the last person alive, I would finally have all the time in the world to watch every show, read every book, and most importantly, never worry about spoilers. Story 10. I would go grab a bunch of high-tech hardware and medical supplies from different stores and drive across the continent pillaging food stores. I would try out countless outfits in clothing stores, break into random fancy houses to live in for a while, and adopt a few dogs along the way, not just because I love them, but also because they protect me from other animals, at least long enough for me to shoot a rifle. Why does everyone assume they would die too? The question just says you are the last person on Earth, not that you are the last person on Earth and you have 5 minutes to live. Story 11. Go to all the pharmacies near me, get a ton of opiates and more Xanax, some Adderall, try and find fentanyl lollipops, go back to a huge house in the rich part of town and die. Story 12. Probably going to go to Area 51 and all the other weird United States military black sites and see what's going on there. After that, probably figuring out how to farm. Story 13. Spend the rest of my life being the evil scientist and look for those sperm and egg donor facilities that can make humans outside the womb. Have the Earth populated again by them before I go. Story 14. Find a huge mansion with a pool and home cinema to live in. Binge watch my favorite TV series and movies with my favorite treats. Go on a shopping spree and get all my favorite clothes for free, of course. Read lots and lots of books. Draw, create art, and play games. Story 15. Go to Walmart, clear out a big spot in the electronics area where the televisions are, factory reset each television, and set up a recliner and Xbox with the biggest blunt I can possibly roll and play away. Story 16. First few days, I would process what this means and be sad about the family and friends I lost. But then I would go on a rampage. Nothing would be safe. I would destroy houses and cars, burn things, and steal so much junk food before eventually either dying from my recklessness or killing myself. Story 17. I'd get drunk, and then I'd pray to God and ask him to forgive me, and then I'd off myself. I wouldn't want to be here if I didn't have my loved ones. Story 18. Like the last person alive with no zombies or animals, I would probably do the same thing the other person did, go live in a mall until I was done and end it. This is such a loaded question for my attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. If it's just me, I would probably explore some houses, see if I could find some cars to drive around, maybe blow some things up. Then, when I have had my fill of just doing whatever, I assume gas in cars and pumps has probably degraded. Food has all spoiled, so I am eating canned food. I would probably not be interested in farming or refining. If I can't keep power going to refrigerate food, I am probably not going to want to figure out salting or smoking meat for preservation. With nothing really to do, I will just end it. If I am being chased by hardcore shambling zombies, I would probably be a nomad and never really stop moving until I am caught and eaten. If they are dumb and slow zombies, I will probably just hunker down and create a safe haven and fortify somewhere. Now, what would be really cool is if time froze and I was the last person moving. I would probably enjoy setting people up in weird positions, so if they ever snapped out of it, I could watch the insanity unfold. This person tripping that person. Someone poised to hit another for no reason. Put random clothes on people. Now I am thinking about how I would go about preserving a steak if I had nothing better to do. That's it. I am back to building a bug-out kit and food storage. Story 19. Live in the White House. Let all the animals in the zoo out. Take a dump off a high building and check out the size of the splat. Burn down an entire city to be determined. Story 20. Honestly, I would probably try to figure out how to drive and shoot a tank just for kicks. Maybe see if I can find and break into a nuclear silo facility, same with a nuclear submarine or aircraft carrier, and bonus if I can figure out how to fire the weapons. Maybe find some Formula 1 cars to drive. Story 21. Find the football and launch codes hoping I could fire them off, and there was an automated defense system that would react and launch a counterattack. And then just wait for the inevitable to happen. Of course, I would have recorded the last moments of humanity. Story 22. Just walk into a Walmart or Walgreens and open all the Pokemon cards, keeping the good ones in a little box. Then I would take a long piss right in the middle of the store while talking on the store's intercom, making impressions of Donald Trump. Story 23. Grieve my dead friends and family. While doing that, make my local bar my new center of operations. I download and print as much useful information as I could about self-sustenance and first aid, and ransack local stores for supplies, seeds, and useful equipment and hardware. I'd also try to find time to play personal computer games, listen to music, and use virtual reality while the power lasted, because I'd know that eventually the power would go off for the last time. After that, I'd spend a lot of time exploring or getting drunk. Story 24. First thing is to develop a redundant and pain-free suicide kit that's easily accessible and always on person. You're the last person alive. If anything happens, like breaking your leg in some well or you get locked in somewhere, you're on your own to suffer. This probably means raiding animal veterinarians for euthanasia medications and then getting a shotgun with buckshot. Next, I'd gather a large truck to transport perishable food items I want to enjoy in the next few weeks and store them in coolers with a lot of ice. Then, Store them in some cooler with ice and enjoy them while they're still around. If I can find a freezer truck that's gas-powered, even better. I'd probably also stay in the city near a large library, hospital, and fancy hotel. Might start a garden nearby and raid a dispensary. Electricity won't last the rest of the week, most likely. I'll spend the rest of the week identifying the most likely and dangerous risks, then come up with mitigation plans for the top 10 or so. Find some stray dogs and cats, probably, while I'm at the veterinarian. Story 25. I have always wanted to drive a brand new Rolls-Royce, so I would break into a dealership and take one, and have a few self-served pints in a pub beforehand just to make the experience more enjoyable. Story 26. Eat myself silly and after a month excommunicate myself from the realm of the living before I completely lose my mind from lack of human communication. Story 27. I think I'd try driving something extremely huge like a cruise ship, then ram something interesting with it. Probably raid a military base and play with something that fires missiles, maybe shoot it at something important. I'd go into Area 51 for sure to see if aliens are legitimate. Read all the secret files in the Central Intelligence Agency, check out the Vatican archives, as one does. Story 28. Get on a boat and sail somewhere with prevailing ocean currents and winds in the southern hemisphere to avoid the nuclear fallout from all the nuclear power plants going into meltdown. Find a good backup generator, stock lots of fuel, food, water, books, medication, and any relevant educational material resources. Then enjoy some peace and quiet while sailing along the coastlines, stopping every now and then to enjoy the sights, and walk around naked for the fun of it. Story 29. Find a nice house and start going on trips to get perishables. Probably a place with a well or a water supply with stove and so on. Then work on firewood, canned goods, and seeds for a garden. Stock up on books and learn how to play an instrument. Make friends with animals and have a lot of dogs and cats. Live as good a life as possible and have a plan for how to go out when I can no longer take care of myself. Story 30. Drive around in a bulldozer and knock down all the walls and fences. Drive to all the zoos and release all the animals. Plant so many trees. Maybe I could use drones to drop seeds everywhere. I might have to see what I can do about any ecological disasters from crumbling infrastructure. I'm sure lots of stuff will catch fire. Hopefully, no reactors melt down. Not a ton I can do to rewild the world by myself, but it would be cool to see nature take back over. Story 31. Question 1. Are there bodies? If yes, then hurry yourself there. Or get and operate a bulldozer and use a large amount of lime. If no, then proceed however. Story 32. Go into every house and find the people who used to live there. Go into the master room and discover the lives of the parents, who they were and what they did. Discover them in their toiletries, the colors of their curtains, and how their furniture matches. Just make up character stories for the people who are gone. Probably role-play with their ghosts too. Story 33. Find and learn how to fly a private jet. Be careful and strategic with any trips made. Always make sure I have enough fuel for a return trip in case wherever I land doesn't have fuel I can use. Eventually, I might make a mistake and crash and die, but before then I'd get to see a lot more cool places than if I stayed on the ground. Story 34. There is a good episode of China, Illinois where Pony is the last person on Earth, or is she? It's actually really well done. Check it out on Adult Swim if any of you want to watch someone having that experience. Story 35. Well, a girl could try to find a sperm bank and repopulate the Earth, but are humans worth it? A boy would have a harder time repopulating the Earth with an egg bank. Story 36. I would acquire a tractor trailer, load it up with supplies, and drive it to Southern California. I would then claim the nicest beach house I could find and live out the rest of my days there. Story 37. Start a journey of finding the medicine that keeps me alive, as I only have 3 weeks left of it. I guess I'll have to raid the pharmacies. I won't live long after they expire, though. Story 38. If you are a man, party and go out with a bang. If you are a woman, find a sperm bank and reproduce. Become queen of everything. Unsure how well birth would go without assistance, though. Story 39. Freaking relax, finally. But honestly, I'd find a solar-powered house, build on that as best I could, and then browse houses every day, taking what I want and need. Ideally, there'd be tons of marijuana in all the stores, so that would help too. Story 40. I'm kind of in this situation right now, nearly totally isolated. The most amazing thing that I discovered about myself was that after everything was taken from me, I have still been the exact same person I always have been. I have not changed my perceptions about myself. I do not think less of myself, and I still do and love the same things. Drawing, reading, art, and people. Some inevitable mental issues, of course, have made their way in, with intrusive thoughts being the most harmful. But in general, the fact that I'm alone in the world for a very considerable span of time right now doesn't affect who I am or what I do whatsoever. That makes me think and believe, based on my only exclusive experience and nothing else, but hey, we're on the internet, that things like involuntary celibates, haters, racists, and things like that are not a result of the internet, social media, or whatever, and they have absolutely no influence on those people. It's not even a tool for them. It's more like a safety jacket, a safe distance for them,